Jesus more.
My dear friends, this morning I could not escape thinking about the first reading of today, which is St. Paul's letter to the Romans. Very, very rich. The whole of chapter 8 is very important, and I think every Christian should be able to go through chapter 8 of St. Paul's letter to the Romans. And it starts with the statement St. Paul saying, if God is for us, who can be against us? And you see, this statement is a conditional statement, meaning if and only if God is for us, then who can be against us? But the other way, if God is not for us, then we have a problem. If God is not on our side, then we have a problem. But it says, if God is for us, then who can be against us? So if God is for us, if and only if He is on our side, then everything is going to work out. If He is on our side, then it doesn't matter what we are going through, it will always be okay. If He is on our side, none can be against us. It reminded me of the time also when the Israelites had left Mount Sinai. They had just finished disobeying God by making a golden calf. And God said to Moses, in the presence of the Israelites, take these people, take them to the promised land. I'm going to fight for you, but I will not come with you. Go with them, but I'm not going to be there with you. And Moses says to God, Lord, if your presence is not going to be with us, Exodus chapter 33 verse 15, if your presence is not going to be with us, do not let us move from this place. We want to go, but if your presence is not going to come with us, if you are not going to be with us, then this journey is going to be worthless. And I think it's a very powerful thing, especially related to the gospel, to what we hear today in the first reading, that if God is for us, then none can be against us. But if we are without God, then everything is going to be wrong. Nothing is going to work out. And then St. Paul goes ahead to justify this, because the good news now is that God truly is for us. That is the good news, and that's why we are here. And therefore, if God is for us, then everything is going to be fine. But the good news is that He is on our side. God is for us. It is no longer conditional. It's not like, what if God is not? No, God is on our side. St. Paul goes ahead to say that if God did not spare His own Son because of the love that He has for us, that in everything He did not spare His own Son, but He gave His Son to die, not only to die, but to live as a human being, for God to become man, to live like us in every way but sin, to die for our sake, to suffer, to die, then what is He not going to do along with that? If God could sacrifice His own Son, what do you think God is not going to do to save you? What do you think can happen that God is going to say, now I have given up on this person? And I think this is a great thing for us to think about, the magnitude of God's love, because at times when we say God is love, nobody really thinks about it deeply. But if you think about the sacrifice that God had to make for each and every one of us, then you will really appreciate what St. Paul talks about. And then this is just 4 verses away from what he already said, that everything is going to work out for good for those who believe in Christ Jesus. So if God is for us, none can be against us. But remember also that in spite of what you go through, everything is working out for good, because one thing is, God is on our side. So it doesn't matter the difficulties of life. It doesn't matter what we are going through. Insofar as God is on our side, then it's going to work out. It might be trial now because we don't see the bigger picture, but it's going to work out. I say this because there are times that we also forget about this God's love, and we begin to feel God has abandoned me, God does not listen to me, God does not care about my situation, or that all is all negative because I feel God's absence in my life. God is never absent. God is always there because of the love that He has for us. If He could sacrifice His Son to die for us, what is He not going to do along with that? But then the bigger question is, how do we respond to that love of God? How do we respond to that? And that's why St. Paul says, who then can separate me from the love of God? What is there that is going to be an obstacle to this love that God is already showing me? And it's therefore important for us to reflect about that and say, what is it that I am doing in my life at the moment? What is it that has become an obstacle to receiving this love that God has offered me already? Because the experience of hell is actually the rejection of God's love. It's not a place or to say that people are, of course, the symbol of fire and everything, but hell is really the rejection of God's love. When we just say we don't want God, we don't want Him. And we make that decision because through our sinfulness and through our rejection of that love that God has offered us. And that is the bigger question. How do we respond to the love that God has given us? How do we respond to that which God has already offered to us? Do we receive it? Do we long to be in His presence? Do we want to enjoy that love that He shows us every day? And He says, if I am on your side, then you have not to be afraid of anything. And the truth and the good news is that God is always on our side. God is for us at all times. And we just have to enjoy His presence. Somebody said that at times when we go through periods of darkness, it's really like God has really put us in His own palms and covered it. And once you are covered in anybody's palm, if an ant is covered in my palms, it's always dark, right? It's dark inside because you don't see anything, but really it is. You are in God's hands. It doesn't matter how difficult it is, how dark it is. The good thing is that we are in God's hands. And the fact that we are in darkness, maybe it is actually the protection of God. So that once He finally opens His hands, you will see His light. Because now the light, who is God Himself, is going to shine in your life. So we continue to ask God in His love and in His mercy that we may trust Him at all times, that we may trust His love for us and continue to seek Him with a sincere heart.
Kiss us, mother, kiss your children. Bring God's blessings from above. With your mantle blue enfold us in your gentle holy love. See the darkness dissipating, hear the trumpet echoing, Satan's rage